Part 22. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 211. Their little hands were fat and short, and they couldn't use chopsticks as dexterously as adults. Seeing the adults at the table eating happily, the two little guys became anxious, so they simply used their hands. Of course, they will definitely not put their hands directly into the plate. They still understand the basic dining etiquette, and Shenyazi also pays attention to teaching these. After the meal, it is lunch break as usual. As soon as Shenyazi coaxed Qingbao and Nian Nian to sleep and came out of the small building, Xie Zhenlin came again. He was sweating profusely and his face was red from the sun, but his eyes were astonishingly bright. "Miss Shen. Sold. All those mooncakes are sold," he shouted excitedly as soon as he came in. Shenyazi made a shushing gesture at him. "Don't make any noise, I just put the two children to sleep." Xie Zhenlin quickly shut his mouth. Shenyazi poured him a cup of iced sour plum soup and took some pieces of watermelon. "Tell me the specific situation." Although the room was cool, Xie Zhenlin was still too hot because he was sweating from running before. He held a fan in one hand and fanned himself. He picked up the sour plum soup with the other hand and drank it in one gulp. After drinking it, he let out a refreshing breath. "Guess. This sour plum soup is also delicious." Xie Zhenlin did not delay and explained the situation again. After he entered the city, he took a box of mooncakes to find Zheng Tao, the owner of Ziwixiaju. Speaking of which, he and Zheng Tao used to hang out together, but later Zheng Tao changed his mind and went home to inherit the family fortune and become the CEO of a restaurant, becoming one of the most successful sons-in-law in Langcheng, while he was still hanging out. Although the two are not in the same place now, their friendship is still there, so Xie Zhenlin easily met Zheng Tao. After the meeting, he didn't say much nonsense and directly gave him a piece of mooncake to taste. After tasting it, business negotiations went smoothly. Everything else will fall into place. According to Shenyazi's method, Zheng Tao took the 100 mooncakes given by Xie Zhenlin for free and gave one to each table of the guests in the private room. In addition, Zheng Tao also arranged childcare in a stupid way. The task of the child care provider is to praise the mooncakes after tasting them, and then pester them to buy them. Originally, the nurse made a draft in his mind in advance so that he could boast about the mooncake. However, after eating it, there was no need for the draft because it was so delicious. He praised completely from the bottom of his heart. Even rushed out to ask Zheng Tao to buy it. The two put on a show, attracting many customers in the store to watch. Those customers who were not interested in mooncakes also joined the camp to buy mooncakes after trying them. Everyone who has tasted it can say nothing bad about it. Just one or two, it's impossible for everyone to tell lies, right? In this way, everyone's appetite was whetted. Those who have eaten it want to eat more, and those who have not eaten it feel itchy and want to taste it. Then, Zheng Tao's nature as a profiteer was fully revealed. First he pretended to be embarrassed, saying that he didn't have so much goods, but in the end he couldn't shirk it anymore, so he said that he would go and get it as much as possible. Goods. After receiving the goods from Xie Zhenlin, Zheng Tao efficiently packaged the mooncakes and sold them for 20 taels of silver per box. There are only 4 in a box. There are still many people rushing to buy it. Xie Zhenlin's originally excited mood was immediately poured cold water upon learning of Zheng Tao's selling price. Why didn't he think of that? Character. But because of this, he learned a lesson. The mooncakes he brought were quickly sold out, and now he came to buy some from Shenyazi again. By the way, I will also share the money earned this time. 600 mooncakes, minus the 100 that were given for free, the remaining 500 were sold for 1,000 taels. According to the original agreement of 28 cents, Shenyazi earned 800 taels of silver just sitting at home. And Xie Zhenlin just ran around and made 200 taels in vain. This is what he earned by his own ability. The first time he made so much money, Xie Zhenlin felt as if he was floating in the clouds, his head was dizzy, and he grinned like a silly son of a landlord. "How much has Ziwixia booked with you this time?" Shen Yizi asked. Xie Zhenlin came to his senses and hurriedly took out an order and handed it over. "I ordered 1,000 pieces this time." Seeing that Shen Yizi remained silent, Xie Zhenlin was a little uneasy. "Miss Shen, can you do this order? You are a fool if you don't make money when you have money, why not do it?" Xie Zhenlin felt relieved immediately. "How about we raise the price this time?" The thought of his 2 taels of mooncakes being sold to Zheng Tao for a high price of 5 taels made his heart hurt so much that he couldn't breathe. Shen Yizi glanced at him. "Integrity is the most important thing in doing business. Don't go back on your word." I don't know why, even though she didn't speak in a serious tone, Xie Zhenlin still felt a chill on his back, which was even more deafening than when his father roared into his ears. He immediately corrected his attitude and said, "I am greedy." "That's what Miss Shen said. I will definitely keep it in mind in the future." "Well, you can go back. I will ask Ganu to deliver the goods to you in 2 hours." Okay, then I'll wait." Xie Zhenlin turned around and walked away. After he left, Shen Yizi immediately closed the courtyard door and ordered 5 or more people to do the work. During this period, she went out for a trip, and when she came back, she was accompanied by Xiao Er. Seeing this, Gan Wu complained a few words in his heart and ignored it. The efficiency of Xiao Er and Xiao San is not very high, and Qian Wu and Kun San can only fall behind. After working hard all afternoon, I finally sorted out the 1,000 mooncakes. Except for Xiao Er and Xiao San, the 2 puppets who didn't even know they were tired, the others were so tired that they couldn't straighten their fingers. Shen Yizi is no exception. When making mooncakes, everyone eats too much. No matter how delicious the food is, you will always get tired of it if you eat too much. So now when a few people see mooncakes, they no longer like them the way they did before. "Are you hungry? Let's have a bowl of white fungus and lotus seed soup first. Let's eat something simple in the evening. I'll make a pot of noodles." After resting for a while, Shen Yizi asked Xiao Er to serve everyone a bowl of tremella and lotus seed soup that had been stewed in the morning. Stewed slowly over low heat, the white fungus is stewed until soft, and the lotus seed powder is glutinous. The sweetness is just right, and it is warm. After one bowl, it will make people feel warm in their stomachs. "Gan Wu, please make another trip to deliver these mooncakes to Xie Zhenlin. Xiao San, please go with me. Although it's still bright now, it will probably be dark by the time Gan Wu comes back, so it's better to have someone to keep you company." After the 2 left, Shen Yizi went to the kitchen to make dinner, while Kun San helped. She said it was simpler to make, but this pot of noodles actually used quite a lot of ingredients. It had a rich and fragrant broth, and the noodles were very chewy and elastic. After kneading the noodles, she put them in cold water and cooked them. Let the noodles expand a bit and become chewier. It contains mushrooms, ham, fungus, green vegetables, and eggs. There are also various sauces, including beef sauce, mushroom sauce, bean paste, and chili sauce, which can be added as you like. The noodles are already delicious, but after adding sauce, the taste is even more sublimated. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 212. A few people sat around the stone table under the pomegranate tree and had a simple but comfortable dinner. After the meal, Shen Yizi raised his hand and picked a pomegranate. "Break it open on the spot, peel off the red and tender pomegranate and put it into a crystal bowl." Nian had never eaten pomegranate before, so she imitated Qingbao and put the pomegranate into her mouth, and ended up chewing the seeds as well. Shen Yizi taught her, "Just bite it gently and let the juice inside flow out. The seeds will be spit out." This time Nian ate the right food, but she really didn't like this fruit that didn't feel full. After eating a few pills, I stopped moving. Today is the Mid-Autumn Festival. The moon in the sky is extraordinarily round and bright, hanging in the sky like a slightly shining jade plate. Shen Yizi was lying on a large reclining chair, holding Qingbao and Nian Nian in his arms, looking at the moon. But she really doesn't have any romantic qualities, and she can't produce poetry like a real ancient person. After reading it for a while, she felt that it was not interesting. Kun San didn't talk much. At this time, he just sat quietly by the side. Qingbao, Nian Nian, let's play a game, Kun San will also join in, Shen Yizi suggested. The two children happily agreed. Wang Wang was not willing to be lonely and came over wagging his tail. Then two adults, two children, and a dog played the game of passing the flower drum. Imperial capital, Royal Palace. Fueyao Palace. The Mid-Autumn Palace banquet is being held in the main hall. Mid-Autumn Festival is a day for family reunion, so everyone here is a member of the royal family. However, Lin Lin finally found out that there were several hundred. This is still within the 5th level. There are still many who have exceeded the 5th level. The entire hall is decorated with green carvings and gleaming lights, and is extremely grand and brilliant. On the left and right sides of the hall stand 9 red lacquered dragon pillars soaring to the sky. The distance between each pillar is about 3 feet, about 10 meters. At the end of the pillars is a white jade platform with more than 30 steps. The emperor, empress, and the 3 most noble people in the empire, the Queen Mother, were sitting on it. There are several thousand-year-old crystal lamps with jade foil and jingle hanging high on the top. This lamp is huge and can be as big as several water tanks. There are dozens of lamp bowls arranged on the lamp, and each lamp bowl is full. Got lamp oil. The lamp oil is as smooth as grease and is said to have been boiled by sharks from the East China Sea. It is not only bright and warm when burning, but also exudes a light fragrance. On the walls and dragon columns, there are countless luminous pearls the size of pigeon eggs, which are shining with golden light. Under the illumination of these thousands-year-old crystal lamps and luminous pearls, the entire hall is as bright as day, and every detail is visible. At the beginning of the banquet, groups of palace people filed in and served delicious delicacies. After the dishes were served, the band and dancers from the Jiao Fangxi came in. Soothing and solemn music slowly flowed out, and the dancers rose and danced along with the music. After the solemn and elegant opening dance, the atmosphere on the venue became slightly warmer, followed by a variety of opera performances. Various programs such as climbing poles, jumping ropes, handstands, animal taming, shadow plays, sumo wrestling, magic arts, etc. are performed in turn. Since today is the Mid-Autumn Festival, the themes of most programs are more or less related to the moon. Of course, there are also rainbow farts from the top 3. The emperor was so happy that he was so happy. As the program progressed, the atmosphere in the palace became more and more lively. While people were drinking and drinking, some clan members with wild and uninhibited temperaments even ran to the venue in person to interact with the performers. Under the white jade steps, the first person sitting on the upper left is Chen Wanggu Switing. In order to suit the occasion, he has dressed up more gorgeously than usual today. His long flowing ink-colored hair is spread over his shoulders. His fairy-like appearance becomes more and more beautiful under the light. It's impossible to look at. The surroundings were bustling and noisy, but his area was deserted, a world of its own. He didn't care either. He sat quietly in his seat and watched the performance indifferently. Looking at the watch on his hand, the time showed 9:15. Influenced by his knowledge, he is now used to her way of referring to time. This is indeed a more accurate expression of time. Although the space inside the palace is vast, the smell of alcohol is still a bit breathtaking. Gu Switting stood up and left the table, walked out of the hall, walked slowly along the rockery, lake and rocks, and finally stopped at the edge of the lake, taking out the photo stone in his arms and stroking it. I wonder when the video will be uploaded. She and Qingbao must have a wonderful mid-autumn festival tonight, right? Brother Switting. There was a soft call from behind. Gu Switting turned around, his eyes like the cold moonlight. What's the matter? Pei Yuen wanted to take a few steps closer, but under his gaze, she was unable to take a step forward. I saw a fan in Tianbao Pavilion earlier and wanted to buy it unexpectedly. The salesman refused to sell it and said that it had already been reserved. As a result, Butler Lin came to pick up the fan. The 9-light fan is in the style of a woman. The handle is also decorated with an extremely rare dragon jade. It is round and lovely, with a cold brilliance, and is carved into an exquisite scallop shape. More importantly, it is said that dragon jade has some miraculous effects. It is a treasure that is rare even for dragons. No matter how close the relationship between her and King Chen was rumored to be, only she knew how indifferent this man was, so she did not dare to expect that he bought the 9-light fan as a gift to her. If it's not her, then it's probably the woman who appeared in his bedroom last time. The thought of someone being the first to get close to this man, the jealousy in her heart was entangled layer by layer, gnawing at her and making her restless day and night. So even though she knew she shouldn't, she still came, with a coquettish tone that she had practiced many times in private. I like that fan very much. Brother Schwetting, can you give it to me? Gu Switting's eyes remained calm. Is this your third condition? Pei Yuen was shocked and subconsciously denied, no. So, what else is there to say? Gu Switting did not say these words, but his expression revealed this. Pei Yuen was still unwilling to give in and asked tentatively, Brother Schwetting has never been interested in these things in the past, why this time? Gu Switting collects various objects that women may like, so he naturally does not make a big deal about it, but this time the 9-light fan happened to be caught by Pei Yuen. Miss Pei Chi, this is not your concern. As soon as Gu Switting finished speaking, the photo stone in his arm suddenly vibrated slightly. Coming. He had no intention of getting entangled with Pei Yuen anymore and strode away. Even not attending the palace banquet, he directly complained to the emperor and left the palace early to return home. Pei Yuen looked at his hurried away figure with twinkling eyes. What was he going to do in such a hurry to leave? In the main hall, the 5th prince arrived belatedly at this time. The 5th prince was born to concubine Mei, who was named because of her love for plum blossoms. Her temperament was as proud and noble as plum blossoms, but the son she gave birth to was a bit unflattering. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 213. The name of the 5th prince is Sing, and a person who is thrifty means stingy. As the name suggests, the 5th prince is a big miser, and he likes yellow and white things the most. His lifelong wish is to open his own business all over Tianyuan Kingdom and make a lot of money. It is best to sleep on the gold and silver mountains every day. That is what he yearns for the most. Hence, he was jokingly called the King of Shang by the common people. Not only was Gu Xie not ashamed, but he was proud of it. He often regarded himself as the King of Shang and was very proud of himself. He even went to the emperor and asked him to grant him the title Shang in the future. But the emperor was angry, chased him, and shouted the barrier. So the emperor became angry when he saw him. Why are you coming now? This banquet is almost coming to an end. Why don't you just stop coming? Gu Xie was also a bachelor. When he heard this, he didn't feel any panic at all. He even said with a playful smile, Father, it's a good thing that I got such a good thing and still miss you. But it's good for you that you don't want to see me so much. In this case, I'll just resign. Pretending to leave. Emperor Ming sat firmly behind the jade table and watched him perform. Emperor Ming said disgustedly, "Aren't you going to leave?" Gu Xie found a way for himself, "If my son really leaves, you will definitely regret it." The Queen Mother laughed at the side and said, "Okay, you monkey, what kind of treasure have you got? Take it out and open our eyes." Gu Xie was waiting for the sentence. No one responded, and his enthusiasm for offering treasures dropped a lot. "Little flag, come on, bring the things up." Xiao Kazai's surname is Wu Minqi, he has a given name and a surname, but Gu Xie likes to call him that, and there's nothing he can do about it. Wu Qi took a few steps forward and presented a delicately wrapped gift box. Pang Jing'an, the chief internal officer who was standing at the foot of the jade steps, took the gift box and opened it. When he saw that what was inside was actually cake, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He turned around, took a few steps, and placed the gift box gently on the jade case in front of the emperor. The Empress and Queen Mother sitting on the left and right of Emperor Ming all looked together. When they saw clearly what was inside, the three bosses were a little speechless. "What are the good things?" Gu Yan said. "How many cakes are it? There are no delicacies in the palace, so why treat a few snacks as a treasure?" The queen covered her lips with a handkerchief and suppressed the smile at the corner of her mouth, lest the emperor would get angry, and she tried to smooth things over. "After all, it is the child's wish. Your Majesty, please don't be angry." Gu Xie was very calm and looked confident. Emperor Ming glanced at him, picked up a piece of cake and tasted it. After finishing one piece, he picked up the second piece immediately, his movements unhurried and there was no special expression on his face. The Queen Mother couldn't help but ask, "Emperor, is it delicious?" "Mother, try it." Emperor Ming took a piece and put it into a small plate with some pain. Pang Jing'an immediately bowed and brought the small plate to the Queen Mother. "Not bad," the Queen Mother commented reservedly after eating. Gu Xian showed his teeth in a smile. "I'm afraid it was not only good, otherwise the Queen Mother would not have eaten the whole thing. If it were an ordinary pastry, it would be nice if she could try it." Seeing that the mooncakes presented to him were favored by the two bosses, he made a mental note of the merit of the subordinates who presented the mooncakes. Every move of the top few people is watched by the people below. The sixth princess, Gu Yi, ran to the jade platform with her skirt and knelt down next to the Queen Mother. "Grandma, what are you eating while carrying your granddaughter on your back?" It is estimated that only she, the Queen's daughter-in-law, dares to talk to the Queen Mother like this. The Queen Mother put her in her arms and said, "What is the name of the one that your fifth emperor brother presented to you?" "Mooncake," Gu Xie said in time. "This mooncake is quite different from ordinary mooncakes. If you want to eat it, go to your father." The Queen Mother looked at the emperor teasingly. Don't think he didn't notice that the emperor would still want to eat alone if she hadn't asked. The emperor was about to tell Pang Jing'an to put away the mooncakes. Looking at Gu Yi's curious eyes, the emperor did not want to be too stingy, so he could only pretend to be calm and said, "Xiao Anzi, please share these mooncakes and let the prince and others have a taste." On the words "have a taste," the emperor deliberately emphasized the tone. Pang Jing'an, who had served him for decades, immediately understood and cut the already small mooncake into 8 pieces. Each one. The prince and princess only got a small piece as big as a fingernail, which was not enough to fit between the teeth. It was really just a taste. Among the concubines, only the queen and the noble concubine have a share, while the rest of the concubines can only stare. As for the royal family members from the side branches, don't even think about it. Facing the emperor's stinginess, everyone was smiling and feeling MMP in their hearts. The mooncakes are already very delicious, and in addition, they only got a small portion, so those who were lucky enough to taste them felt that they were not enough. The Queen Mother asked, "Xiao Wu, who made these mooncakes?" Gu Xie said, "It was sent by one of Urchin's subordinates. He said that the mooncakes first appeared in Langcheng, and the wealthy people went crazy. My subordinate also managed to buy one from others at a high price box. As soon as the name Lang Cheng came out, everyone present looked at a loss. Even the emperor couldn't match it with a certain position on the Kanyu map. Without him, the territory of Tianyuan Empire is really vast, and there are countless place names, large and small. How can I remember them all? Tianyuan is roughly divided into 5 regions based on region: the central Tianlong region, the eastern Wood Spirit region, the southern Fenjiao region, the western Kailan region, and the northern Black Turtle region. The Tianlong territory alone has 81 states under its jurisdiction, and each state has anywhere from a few to dozens of cities. Muling territory has 50 states under its jurisdiction. Fenjiao domain has 28 states under its jurisdiction. Keelan territory has 36 states under its jurisdiction. Suangi territory has 49 states under its jurisdiction. The Tianlong domain is located in the center, guarded by the other 4 domains, and the imperial capital Junction City is located in the center of the Tianlong domain. There are a total of 244 states in the world, and there are countless cities under its jurisdiction. Even if there are not 10,000, there are 8,000. Among them, Lang Cheng is really insignificant. In addition, Lang Cheng is located in a remote location and there are no famous places of interest or food. It can be said that it has no characteristics, and it will not be remembered by others. The emperor didn't think it was a big deal that he didn't remember a small city. He couldn't remember it, but after all, someone knew. He turned his attention to the 5th seat in the first row on the left below, where sat a thin man with a pale face who looked like a male version of Sister Lin. It is the famous sick Prince Gu Ke in the palace. He is the 4th among the princes. Due to the deficiencies brought about by his mother in the womb, he has been frail and sick since he was a child, so he has a quiet personality. He likes reading, painting, and self-cultivation. He is a health expert. Even when he comes to a banquet, he never forgets to grab a cup of red date and ginseng tea to nourish blood and energy. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 214. In addition to his illness, this man is also well known for his photographic memory and extensive memory. Known as the Royal Encyclopedia. No, when the emperor met someone he didn't know, he immediately thought of him. Old Si, do you know where this Lang Cheng is? Just when Gu Ke was about to speak, his throat felt itchy and he couldn't help but cough a few times. Lang Cheng is a small city in the southeast of Hezu Prefecture in the southern region, close to the Jinlong River. The current owner of the city is a member of a branch of the Xie family. Since that city master Xie took office, a group gathering has been held every year. When he was talking about the Kunfang meeting, the imperial concubine sitting in the first row on the right opposite could not help but glance at him and saw him leaning sickly against the attendant. There was nothing strange on his face, which showed that he was not. It was mentioned deliberately. Gu Ke introduced Lang Cheng eloquently, covering all aspects from humanities to geography, from folk customs to anecdotes. Perhaps even the Lord of Lang Cheng himself did not know it clearly. I don't know, I thought he grew up there. It truly lives up to its reputation as a man of profound knowledge and strong memorization. The emperor and everyone else listened for a moment, and they didn't react until he finished speaking. No, they were obviously concerned about who made the mooncakes. Why did they hear so much about Lang Cheng? But it sounds quite interesting. I can go there when I have the chance. Many people have secret thoughts in their hearts. After listening to what Gu Ke said, everyone finally had a clear impression of Lang Cheng in their minds. Let's get back to the subject, who makes the mooncakes? Gu Xie took over the task of investigating the person who made the mooncakes. The 5th princess said, when we find her, we will call her into the palace and ask her to make mooncakes for us. As soon as these words came out, everyone was amused. The queen mother stroked her head. Silly girl, mooncakes are only eaten during a solar term, how can you eat them every day? Gu Yi pouted, "Royal grandmother, that person can make mooncakes so delicious, his skills must be good. When the time comes, let him serve you specially and make delicious food for you. From now on, I will come to your palace every day it's time to eat." Haha, okay, then the imperial grandmother will be waiting. All this happened just after Gu Swiding left. As soon as he returned home, he strode into his bedroom, took out the photo stone, and just as he was about to open it, the earth rat ran in from outside and took off the storage bag hanging around his neck with his two front paws. "Pass it forward." Gu Swiding took it over, touched its head, took out the stored food from the chaotic space, and let it eat by itself, while he opened the storage bag and took out everything inside. Clothing, food, medicine, and the big characters written by Qingbao. The calligraphy written by a 3-year-old child is not really beautiful, it is only a little better than ghost drawings. However, Gu Swiding felt like he had found a treasure. He held it in his hand and felt that it was the cutest calligraphy in the world. No matter how you look at it, like. My heart is filled with pride and pride. His little guy can write, and he can write a lot of words. When I turned to the last page, the word daddy was clearly written on it. These two characters have a lot of strokes. One character was written by Qingbao into two, which looks like a family division. Gu Swiding looked at it, but his eyes suddenly became hot. He could almost imagine the little guy lying in front of the table, holding a brush and writing seriously one stroke at a time with his small bun-like hands. His heart felt hot when he thought about it. If possible, he wished he could stay with Qingbao and teach him how to practice calligraphy in person instead of just collecting some engraved books for him. After reading the large characters written by Qingbao, Gu Swiding was wrapped in a huge sense of happiness, and there was a smile on his lips that he didn't even realize, even a little silly. After reading everything Shen Yizi sent one by one, he carefully put it into the chaotic space. Then, he clicked on the shadow stone. "Gu Swiding, you can't imagine what I did today in the video," Shen Yizi said the first sentence while leaning on the couch under the peach blossom tree in an inconspicuous manner. Finished and told him everything that happened today. In this way, even if he cannot participate in their lives, he can still understand what happens to them every day, so as not to create a sense of distance. Gu Swiding looked at her in the shadow stone almost obsessively throughout the whole process, listening to her clear and moving voice flowing out like a mountain spring. It was like listening to the sound of a fairy. He is not talkative by nature and usually can speak simply and briefly, but after meeting her, he obviously talks more and even racks his brains to try to speak more and share his knowledge with her. If the day was really poor and he had nothing to say, he would select the more interesting ones from all kinds of news collected by his subordinates and tell them to her as anecdotes. As an elite department specializing in gathering intelligence, the Gen Guards would not know how they would feel if they knew that the intelligence they had worked so hard to collect was used by their master to please their sweetheart. Seeing that Shen Yizi was very interested in those things, he would deliberately talk more, and sometimes even deliberately leave a little suspense until the next day to talk about it, which made Shen Yizi feel like a storyteller, scratching his head and waiting every day. His future. Therefore, although Shen Yizi has been staying in the small Jiazhuang, she has not closed her eyes and ears at all. On the contrary, with such a well-informed boyfriend, she can be said to have a certain understanding of everything in the world. This is also the reason why she asked Gu Swiding to help investigate Nian's life experience last time. Speaking of Nian's life experience, Gu Swiding was about to tell her about it. Nian's biological father is Kui Huo, the lord of the Southern Territory. His wife is from the direct line of the Zhao family. There are several monks around him. One of them is Zhou Yu. He knows some formation techniques and has evil methods. He was the one who set up the trap back then. The soul-suppressing array trapped Nian and her mother underground. According to the investigation, Kui Huo didn't know anything about Li Jianyang's experience back then. He wanted to pick up Li Jianyang in person, but his father, the then leader of the Southern Territory, transferred him to the Northern Territory and threatened Li Jianyang's life. The father and son, the two, seemed to have reached some kind of agreement secretly. Although I don't know the specific details, it seems that Cui Huo temporarily compromised, and his father was not allowed to do anything to Li Jianyang. But Cui Huo was so stupid that he fell into Zhao's scheme and had a physical relationship with him. After that, Zhao took Li Jianyang's eldest son, Cui Shizhen, Nian's brother, back and used magic and medicine to curb his growth. A year later, he appeared in front of the Cui family with Cui Shizhen. After testing, it was confirmed that Cui Shizhen was indeed the child of the Cui family. The two elders of the Cui family originally intended Cui Huo to marry the Zhao family. Now that they have a child and the Zhao family is already powerful, Cui Huo was forced by his parents to marry the Zhao family. But he also put forward a condition, that he would take Li Jianyang into the Cui family and take her as a concubine. The Cui family's parents agreed. Li Jianyang was suppressed underground, and Cui Huo's people naturally couldn't find her. After so many years, Cui Huo has not given up. It is also because of this that Gu Switting's people can follow the clues to find the past and restore the truth of the year. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 215. Gu Switting did not make any comments about Cui Huo's experience, but just talked about it as a bystander. Shen Yizi felt a little uncomfortable after hearing this. Although it was the Zhao family that caused Li Jianyang to end up in such a situation, Cui Huo could not say that he had no responsibility at all. The two chatted for a while, and Shen Yizi said Happy Mid-Autumn Festival to Gu Switting and stopped sending any more videos. This is the first time he has received such a straightforward holiday blessing. Gu Switting was a little reluctant and clicked on the last video she sent. He listened to the short sentence several times. Putting away the shadow stone, he walked to the window and looked at the clear moon in the sky. Thinking that she, thousands of miles away, was enjoying the bright moon with him, a faint joy arose in his heart. Of course, if possible, he would prefer to stay with her at this moment, preferably holding her in his arms and bathing in the moonlight together. Thinking of this, he couldn't wait to be reunited with her and Qingbao's family. There is one more thing that needs to be resolved. Call Zhen Yi. Zhen Yi is the leader of Zhenwei and the head of the intelligence department. He is usually responsible for coordinating intelligence messages from his subordinates from various places, and screening and recording them. Not long after, Zhen Yi came. Your Majesty. How was the investigation of the incident 3 years ago? Gu Switting turned around. 3 years ago, he suffered from a demonic poison attack and completely lost his mind. He met a woman on the way. At that time, for some reason, he had an unprecedented desire for her blood. Without thinking, he threw her to the ground and bit her neck, and later he uncontrollably did things to her that he even despised. When he woke up, the woman was no longer there, and he did not remember her face at all, only that her blood was particularly sweet. He picked up a jade pendant that she had dropped. After returning, he ordered his subordinates to find the woman at all costs, but she seemed to have evaporated out of thin air, without a trace. At that time, his intelligence network was not as complete as it is now. After searching for a long time without success, he withdrew most of his people, leaving only a few people still exploring the area. Just when he thought that the woman was a mountain spirit who might never be found, she appeared on her own initiative. Pei Yuan, Pei Chi's girl who had been raised in a villa since childhood, when she saw the jade pendant hanging on his waist, she said that she was the owner of the jade pendant and took the initiative to mention what happened 3 years ago. The place and time are both right. She is the woman he offended 3 years ago. The person was found. Gu Switting couldn't tell whether he was disappointed or feeling something else. He had originally made up his mind to take responsibility for the woman, of course, provided she was willing. However, if this person was Pei Yuan, he could clearly feel the resistance in his heart. Although she tried to hide it, the greed and intention in her eyes could not be hidden from his eyes. It was no different from all the women who were afraid of him but deliberately approached him. So, once again, he did something that was contrary to his own principles. He proposed 3 conditions to make up for what happened 3 years ago. Pei Yuan agreed. The first condition is that she must recognize him as her adopted brother. He knew what she was planning, it was just to use his name to act. He agreed, but also sent someone to be by her side to act as a supervisor. Although this was not what he wanted, it was true that he made a mistake in the first place and must bear the consequences of his mistake. The second thing is that she wants to become a master of the Imperial Academy. He personally went to the national preceptor, Master Yungkang. Genren Yungkang has only one condition, the dragon inner elixir. He is in a critical period for promotion. If he can have the help of Jiaolong inner elixir, his promotion will be easier. As for recruiting one more disciple, it's not a big deal. This is also the reason why he went to Qingmang Mountain before. Unexpectedly, this trip to Qingmang Mountain would give him a big surprise. He met the girl with the scar on her face who still attracted all his attention, and the little guy who called him daddy as soon as they met. When you love someone, you must want to take over everything about her. This is how he feels about Zizi, and this emotion is getting stronger day by day. So, he had very complicated feelings towards Qingbao. On the one hand, he couldn't help but pamper him as if he were his own child. However, when he thought that he was the child of Zhizhi and another man, it was impossible for him not to feel uneasy at all. Until the master said that Qingbao looked very much like him, as if they were carved from the same mold. He couldn't help but hope, was it possible that Qingbao was indeed his child? Zhizi is the woman he was looking for 3 years ago, not Pei Yuan. As soon as this thought came out, it spread crazily in my mind like weeds and could no longer be suppressed. So, he once again sent people to investigate the incident 3 years ago. This time, he must get to the bottom of it. As soon as Zhen knew how concerned the prince was about this matter, he had been intensifying his investigation these days, but it was just that time had passed and the most important thing was that there were too few clues. Of course, what subordinates have to do is to do the things assigned by their masters well, rather than emphasize difficulties and shirk responsibility. My subordinates have made some progress. This is some information that has been investigated. Please take a look. Janai handed over a piece of information. Goose Whitting finished sweeping quickly. Information shows that Pei Yuan has been following a monk around him all year round, and he is willing to be driven by her and help her do many shameful things. Moreover, the relationship between this monk and Pei Yuan is still somewhat unclear. The monk's cultivation level is not high, he is only at the 2nd level of qi refining, but behind him there is a behemoth involved, the Immortal Medicine Sect. The Immortal Medicine Sect, as the name suggests, is a sect of immortality whose purpose is to save lives and heal the wounded. The members of the sect have one thing in common, the monks all major in medicine. Of course, it also attracts ordinary people with superb medical skills. Whenever a plague disaster occurs in a place, the traces of immortal doctors can be seen. Over time, people in the world have become more and more respectful to the Immortal Medicine Sect. In Tianyuan Kingdom, the Immortal Medicine Sect has a transcendent status. To avoid alerting others, Zhenyi did not let anyone continue the investigation. It is not for nothing that Goose Whitting collects so much information every year, and he knows far more than ordinary people imagine. Take the Immortal Medical Sect as an example. In the eyes of the world, it is a sect that helps people in distress. However, in his opinion, there may be a shocking truth hidden behind the Immortal Medical Sect's rescue. This truth was inferred by him based on various information. He hoped it was not true. Goose Whitting balled up the piece of paper recording the information in his hand, and the powder fell down. Keep staring at him. The him refers to the monk next to Pei Yuan. It should be a nod. In addition, since you left, something happened at the palace banquet. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 216. Janai told what happened in the second half of the banquet in detail as if he had seen it with his own eyes, which shows how strong his intelligence spying capabilities are. The words Lang Cheng and Mooncake instantly caught Gu Switting's attention. He had previously issued an order that all information about Shen Yizi and Qingbao would be classified as the highest level intelligence. It is precisely because of knowing this that Zhenyi inquired about the second half of the palace banquet in such detail. The fifth prince, please make arrangements so that he doesn't find out too early. After a while, the interest in mooncakes among those in the palace will probably fade away. Janai took the order and left. The moon hangs high in the sky, and it is already getting late. Gu Switting had no intention of sleeping or practicing. Instead, he left the house and quietly walked along the ridge of the roof to a small courtyard. After landing, he walked through the array in the courtyard with familiarity, and saw the locked door at a glance. There is a letter stuck on the door of the house. Disciple Xueting, I'm going to go out and play for a while. Let's relax. You don't have to look for me. I will come back after I confirm one thing. By the way, if Zhizi girl brings something delicious again, be sure you have to leave a copy for me, otherwise I will go to Yizi girl and say bad things about you. The signature is a very floating character. Gu Switting pressed his forehead. From this letter, it was not difficult to guess that this unreliable master ran to find Zhiji. But when he said confirm one thing, what did he mean? Originally, I planned to come to him to spend the Mid-Autumn Festival. Since he was not here, it would be strange that he would leave him a copy of the things Zhizi sent. He himself felt that it was not enough. Gu Switting knew very well that Master Luo Yao Yao had the temperament of an old naughty boy and was very willful. He might cause some trouble when he went to Zhizi's place, so he had to tell Zhizi. After returning home, Gu Switting went into the study and quickly drew a portrait of Luo Yao Yao, then took it with a photographic stone and sent it to Shen Yizi. Then he took a video to explain the cause and effect. Zhizi, Master is more playful and has a temper like a child. If he really comes to find you, you should be more patient. Also, beware of him kidnapping Qingbao. Sent the video, but didn't receive a reply for a long time. I thought Zhizi must have fallen asleep by now. Then, he wrote another letter, transcribing the information about Nian's life experience, and also mentioned that someone from the royal family had been eyeing her. Handily wrote 3 pages. After writing the letter, he went to his private treasury and put the various rare things he had collected in the past few days into storage bags. Among them is the 9-light fan mentioned by Pei Yuan. The ground rat patted the storage bag hanging around his neck, rubbed Gu Switting's leg, and dived into the ground. Asterisk. He practiced for 3 hours last night, and Shen Yizi didn't lie down until the light of day began to fade. When she woke up, Qingbao and Nian were no longer in bed. The children all woke up early and are probably playing in the yard or playing with their friends in the village. She turned over lazily, still immersed in the afterglow of just waking up. At this time, she felt a sense of being watched. When she opened her eyes, she saw the ground rat squatting obediently beside the bed with a cute expression. Huh? Are you back so soon? Shen Yizi took it over and rubbed it. It is true that the original walking mouse was not that fast, but after eating so many of her elixir pills, its strength must have improved, and its speed naturally became faster. She took off the storage bag around its neck, took out the contents, and made a bed. At first glance, it looked so beautiful and sparkling that she felt that Gu Switting had become a collector. Cloth, clothing, shoes, jewelry, Jewelry, well, there is even a fan. As a monk, the cold and heat of the outside world have little impact on her, and she rarely uses the fan, but since it was a gift from him, she likes it very much. The fan itself is very delicately made. The fan bones are made of agar wood and are carefully carved. It is very light in the hand. When it is fanned, the cool breeze blows and there is a faint fragrance. It is the smell of agar wood that has settled over the years. Finally, she picked up the letter. Why does he still write to her when she communicates online every day? Shenyazi was a little confused. Unfolding the letter, first of all, it was about Nian's detailed life experience. Gu Swiding had only briefly talked about it before, but here it was recorded in extremely detail. There was even the process of how her brother was tortured by Zhao. It can be called a family history. The second thing she never expected was that her mooncakes were actually brought to the palace banquet by the fifth prince and presented to the emperor. After eating it, all the royal family members thought it tasted very good, and then they became interested in her as the mooncake maker, and actually wanted to find her and let her work as a cook in the palace. What a magical turn this is. She is not surprised, okay. The behavior of those in power in ancient times was really domineering. Originally, she was very happy because she made a small profit from the mooncakes, but now she is a little depressed. However, Gu Swiding had already intervened. By the time the fifth prince investigated her, the emperor had probably forgotten all about the mooncakes. Even if the emperor still wants her to work as a cook in the palace, the worst she can do is find a way to refuse. There are always many ways. So she didn't take it to heart. Shenyazi continued to look down, but this time, he was a little confused about whether to laugh or cry. Gu Swiding's master probably ran over. She quickly opened the image stone, and when she saw clearly the portrait of her master that Gu Swiding had passed on, she felt a huge trepidation in her heart. Isn't this the old man who came into the village to perform a puppet show yesterday? It seems that Gu Swiding was right, his master is a willful and playful old naughty boy. You came as soon as you said you would, and you even started cosplaying. Could it be that you were planning to investigate her secretly? Thinking about it like this, she couldn't help but become a little nervous. Although it was Gu Swiding who was in love with her, it can be seen from the lines that Gu Swiding's attitude toward his master was one of disgust and affection, and it was obvious that his master had a high status in his heart. What should they do if their master firmly objects to them being together and beating up the Mandarin ducks? They broke up on the surface and secretly dated each other secretly? It's quite exciting when you think about it. I realized that my thinking was going too far, so I stopped quickly. Shenyazi reviewed her performance in front of the old man yesterday and felt that it was quite good. But her good sense of self suddenly died when she came to the mirror. Because she saw that she still had fake scars on her face. Is it too late to take this off now? Does Gu Swiding and his master think she is ugly and not worthy of Gu Swiding? She herself doesn't care what others think of her, but when it comes to the people she likes, her worries about gains and losses suddenly become heavier. This is the trouble of women in love. Shenyazi sighed sweetly and sadly. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 217. While eating breakfast, a child outside shouted loudly, "King Bao, Nian, the old puppet man is here again yesterday. Hurry up and go to the theater. If you go late, you won't be able to get a good seat. I'll go first." As soon as he heard this, Qingbao couldn't sit still anymore and moved his under the chair. "Mom, I don't want to eat. I want to go to the theater." Nian, however, sat firmly. In her eyes, eating came first. If she wanted to watch a show, she had to wait until she was full. Shenyazi said to Qingbao, "Don't worry, eat first and then go. The old man won't be able to leave for a while. They came specifically for the mother and son. Even if you miss it today, you will definitely come back tomorrow. Qingbao didn't listen, for fear of not being able to make the trip. No one else was so impatient. Shen Yizi had no choice but to put a bag of food for him that was easy to take, ran after him and hung the bag on his body, run slower. But the brat didn't listen at all. His two short legs moved so fast, like small wheels, that it really made people worry that he would turn over. Shen Yizi knows the heart of this old mother. His consciousness kept chasing after him until he saw that he had reached the place safely, and then he took it back. Breakfast was eaten as usual. Ever since she had Nian Nian, there was basically nothing left on the dinner table at home, and she would sweep it all away. And even though she was eating Hi-Si so much, her belly didn't bulge. She has gained some weight and is taller than when she first started. Shen Yizi then ordered her to put on a beautiful and exquisite little skirt, cute little pigtails, and some other clothes suitable for her age. Lightweight jewelry that looks so cute. It is simply a doll in Shen Yizi's fantasy. Now she seems to regard Nian Nian as her daughter. The happiest thing every morning is to dress her up beautifully. As for Qingbao, this little brat has already rushed towards the path of a brat. Can't pull it back. After eating, Nian Nian put on the small satchel made for her by Shen Yizi. It was actually just two thin straps sewn on the storage bag, making it easier for Nian Nian to carry it on her shoulders. The bags are filled with all kinds of food. Perhaps she was afraid of being hungry for so many years, and Nian Nian was obsessed with food. Shen Yizi felt very distressed, so he wanted to satisfy her. She didn't have much else anyway, so there wasn't enough food in the space. Nian Nian is not picky about food and is easy to feed. By the way, Nian Nian, tell that puppet old man for me when the show ends today that Aunt Chen invited him to dinner. You and Qingbao remember to take him home when the time comes. Yes, I remember it. Nian Nian picked up the small bag and skipped towards the entrance of the village. The two little braids on the head are little by little. Under the big banyan tree, Qingbao's arrival was warmly welcomed by the children, and some even gave him his seat and asked him to stand in front. Qingbao held the buns in both hands and ate them deliciously while watching the puppet show with relish. The buns smelled so good that the children couldn't concentrate while watching the puppet show. Qingbao, give me a bite. A child tugged at his clothes. Qingbao broke off a small piece and gave it to him. Seeing this, other children also came to him for begging. Luo Yao Yao watched, and the voice of the opera suddenly rose. These little bastards, instead of watching the opera, they deceived Qingbao into eating, thinking he was dead. The children were not frightened by his subtle warning, and all of a sudden they all gathered around Qingbao. A small piece of this, a bite of that, the bun in Qingbao's hand disappeared in the blink of an eye. A group of little carrot heads licked their mouths with unsatisfied content. The food at Dr. Shen's house is delicious. King Bao is so happy. You can eat something so delicious every day. Seeing Qingbao take out another shamai, the children were greedy again. However, this time, before they could open their mouths, Nian Nian came. Nian Nian and Qingbao are different. This child is a thief who protects food. No one except Shen Yizi and Qingbao can get food from her. These children were all shriveled in her hands. And for some reason, Nian Nian looks younger than Qingbao, but these children are a little afraid of her. Not to mention grabbing her snacks, they don't dare to take her with them even when playing. If it weren't for Qingbao, Nian Nian would probably be isolated by everyone. After arriving, Nian Nian sat on the root of the big banyan tree, then stared at the puppet, and began to take out things and stuff them into her mouth. She ate as long as the puppet show lasted. For this reason, it is not a secret in the village that Nian Nian can eat it. Everyone said that Nian Nian was probably thrown into the mountains because she was so good at eating that her family was afraid of food. Now that Dr. Shen has picked it up, it can be regarded as falling into a nest of blessings. Luo Yao Yao was also a little shocked. This little girl is incredible. As soon as the puppet show ended and it was noon, Luo Yaoyao glanced at Qingbao with some reluctance. He would not be able to see his fleshy and tender face until tomorrow. Unexpectedly, Nian Nian gave him a big surprise at this time. "Grandpa, Aunt Chen asked you to come home for dinner." "Really?" Luo Yaoyao was overjoyed. Nian Nian nodded. So Luo Yaoyao quickly packed up her things and followed Qingbao and Nian Nian back home. The two little guys walked in front hand in hand, and Luo Yaoyao followed behind carrying a load. I couldn't help but wonder in my heart, why would that girl invite him to dinner? Did she see something? But this did not affect his good mood at all. Even the burdens on the shoulders seemed to be infected, and they suddenly made a brisk creaking sound. Shen Yizi came back from the medical clinic and saw Luo Yaoyao having fun with Qingbao and Nian Nian in the yard. The two little guys were no longer unfamiliar with him. They were climbing up and down on him, shouting and jumping, trying to get him to throw him high. Like two monkeys. How could an ordinary old man withstand the torture of the two of them? Luo Yaoyao dealt with it easily and picked up Qingbao with one hand. Nian Nian held Qingbao's waist, and Luo Yaoyao held the two children, who were like candied haws skewered together, and spun around in circles in the yard. The speed was so fast that Nian Nian was floating in the air, and the two children were so excited that they raised their throats. "Howl!" Seeing Shen Yizi, Nian Nian shouted to her as if to take credit, "Aunt Chen, I brought Grandpa back." Qingbao also refused to lag behind, "There's still me." "Well done, I'll reward each of you with an extra ice cream today." Shen Yizi smiled and said hello to Luo Yaoyao, then went into the kitchen to get busy. After all, it was the first meal for Master Gu Switting. Yesterday's meal didn't count, so he couldn't be careless. Shen Yizi decided to use all his strength to prepare a gourmet feast. There are 9 dishes in total: bad fish, squirrel fish, boiled bear paw, chrysanthemum pot, squab in oil, stewed turtle, stewed pig brain with hericium, fried tofu with shrimp and stir-fried duck fat. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 218. To make fish, pickled, sun-dried herring is soaked in wine and wine. When the fish fiber becomes tough and the meat is bright red, it can be taken out for cooking. When making it, pile the fermented wine on the fish pieces, add ginger, green onions, and diced lard, and steam it over a slow fire. The aroma of the fish with the smell of wine will make you drunk before you even eat it. Hericium has an excellent taste in the fungus, and is white and smooth in color. It is used to stew pig brains. When the soup is slightly thickened, the aroma will overflow and it will make your mouth water. The Mid-Autumn festival has passed and the sweet-scented osman thus is fragrant. The turtles at this time are fat and tender, so they are called sweet-scented osman thus turtles. Use this soft-shelled turtle with bamboo shoots and ham to stew it over a slow fire for 2 days. The soft-shelled turtle bones will be crispy and tender, and the soup will be extraordinarily fresh. Drink a bowl and feel indescribably comfortable. After the menu was drawn up, Shen Yizi began to show off his skills. It was okay at first. Luo Yaoyao was enjoying playing with Qingbao and Nian Nian, and he was as happy as a child. Later, as the dishes were served one after another, the aroma was like a hook, tickling his nose. My stomach and intestines are all restless. In fact, he really wanted to ask how long it would take before dinner could be served, but as a guest, how could he dare to ask? But his eyes couldn't help but glance towards the table. Shen Yizi came out with the last dish of cooked bear paw. "Master, dinner is ready. You can take the 2 little ones to the sink to wash your hands." "What is wrong with Luo Yaoyao?" After formally sitting down at the table, Luo Yaoyao looked at the dishes on the table and rubbed his hands on his legs with some restraint. This is too rich." Looking flattered. Shen Yizi felt funny in his heart, this old man was acting out again. "Eat, you're welcome. After eating, I have a few questions to ask you." Luo Yao Yao pretended to be confused. Old man, I am just a juggler who travels around the world. I only know about the various religions in the world. If you want to ask me these things, I will tell you. The conversation between the two people made Jianwu and Kun San next to them a little confused, and they always felt like they were playing some kind of game. King Bao and Nian Nian, on the other hand, were not affected at all and kept eating. Shen Yizi first served everyone a cup of stewed bear paw and warned, "There are hot handkerchiefs here. Remember to wipe your mouth after eating. The bear's paw is plump, and the gum inside has been simmered out. If it is not wiped off as soon as possible, it may stick to the mouth." Luo Yao Yao was a little reserved at first, but under the attack of delicious food, he soon let go. As a gourmet who loves to eat and cook, if he were asked to comment on this table of dishes, he would say, "Another table, please." He recognized this apprentice's wife. If that boy Goosewitting dares to do anything that is sorry to girl Shen, he, the master, will not let him go for the first time. In front of delicious food, apprentices also have to take a step back. Shen Yizi scooped up a bowl of chrysanthemum pot and drank it slowly. The soup base used in this pot was a high-quality pork rib broth, as clear as water. The ingredients in the pot were mandarin fish fillets, small live shrimps, pork belly, kidney slices, and there are chrysanthemums. Since it is called chrysanthemum pot, how can it be without chrysanthemums? She chose the chrysanthemums from the chrysanthemum garden in the space. There was a large area of chrysanthemums in her space, with various varieties. In addition to being ornamental, chrysanthemums have high edible and medicinal values. They can dispel wind, clear away heat, and calm the liver. It has the functions of improving eyesight, clearing away heat and detoxifying. Put the chrysanthemums in a little and you can get it out of the pot. It tastes very fresh and tender. After finishing one bowl, she had almost eaten. Luo Yao Yao, Qing Bao, and Nian Nian were still fighting hard. A quarter of an hour later, Qing Bao's fighting power was exhausted. Only Luo Yao Yao and Nian Nian were still feasting. These two people are really evenly matched in terms of appetite, and neither one gives in to the other. Luo Yao Yao, he is a person who has been trained to tolerate a big belly. How could he lose to a little baby? Big belly capacity, a technique that can store a large amount of food in the abdomen and convert it into energy at any time. It is simply a technique tailor-made for foodies. The person who originally created this spell was probably also a foodie. Nian Nian, that old man is so annoying. He actually competed with her for food. "I'll eat, eat, eat." The two of them seemed to be fighting over food, but in the end, Luo Yao Yao, who had a huge belly, was just a draw with Nian Nian. The look in his eyes as he looked at Nian Nian was filled with wonder. Could this little girl be a monster? How could a human child eat so much? If the food on the table had not been wiped out, he felt that she could continue to eat. This realization made his heart tremble a little. After eating, it's time to get down to business. "Old man, I haven't asked you your last name yet." Luo Yao Yao hurriedly waved his hands and returned to the image of an honest busker. "I don't dare to bear your surname." This old man's surname is Luo Yao Yao. So it's Mr. Luo. I wonder what you want to do after taking all the trouble to come to Jiazhuang and pretending to be an old man doing business, Shen Yizi asked Qi Shiren. As soon as these words came out, Jianwu and Kun San immediately realized that something was wrong. They stood up and guarded Shen Yizi and the others behind them. They stared at Luo Yao Yao warily, ready to attack at any time. Shen Yizi pressed Kun San's shoulder and said warmly, "It's okay, the old man won't hurt us." She walked out from behind the two of them. Luo Yao Yao still refused to admit it. "What do you mean, girl? I'm just an old man doing business. I came here to earn some hard money. Otherwise, who would want to run outside in the hot weather?" Shen Yizi was really convinced by this old man. Even now, he was still talking to her about him. He simply took out the photo stone, opened it, and showed him the latest video. After reading it, Luo Yaoyao realized that the brat had sold him long ago. This girl is also a ghost. She has known about it for a long time and is still fighting with the old man here. Girls Hizzy, yes, I am Xueting's master, since you already know, I won't hide it from you. Luo Yaoyao straightened his face and had a serious expression. If Shen Yizi hadn't known what his temper was, he might have been fooled by him. This development was really beyond Gan Wuliang's expectation. He thought the old man had some ulterior motive for sneaking in, but he didn't expect that he was actually his master's master who saw the dragon before it came out. They knew that the master had a master, but they had never seen him. Now that I have met him, I feel a little disillusioned. Where is the peerless expert that we promised? What about being pure in heart and having few desires? The image of Luo Yaoyao is quite different from what they imagined. Luo Yaoyao said, the main reason I came here this time is to meet you and Qingbao. He turned to Qingbao with a look of kindness on his face. Come to Grandpa Shi. Qingbao still couldn't adapt to Luo Yaoyao's identity change, so he subconsciously looked at Shen Yizi. Shen Yizi pushed him slightly and motioned him to come to Luo Yaoyao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 219. Luo Yaoyao picked up Qingbao and placed it on his lap. He also weighed his legs subconsciously, feeling the weight on his legs. He was very satisfied. This disciple's grandson was very solid, white, fat, and flattering. Happiness. Looking at this mold again, the facial features are exactly the same as those of his father. If this is not his biological child, it would be unreasonable. But whether it is true or not remains to be tested. This time, he came precisely for this matter. Girls Hizzy, let's go and find a quiet place. I have something important to tell you. Follow me. Shen Yizi led Nian in front and led him to the study room on the first floor of the small building. After sitting down, Shen Yi knew, just tell me. Although he looked calm on the face, he was still a little nervous in his heart. Nian, who was held in her arms, noticed it and touched her face with his small hands, as if to comfort her. Don't you think Qingbao and Xueting look too much alike? Luo Yaoyao said seriously. Shen Yizi didn't expect that what he was going to say was this, I did discover this, but Xueting didn't know me before. I thought that if we had an old relationship 3 years ago, he wouldn't see me again. It's like a stranger. Besides, there are people in this world who are not related by blood but look alike, so I have never dared to think about it. Luo Yaoyao felt a little resentful that iron could not become steel. Why don't you think about it? Can you just test it and find out? Test it? How to test it? Shen Yizi's impression of blood relationship testing is still based on the DNA test in his previous life. However, as soon as the words came out, she suddenly realized that she had now arrived in a world of immortal cultivation. There should be some unscientific but effective method of testing blood relationship here, right? Had I known it earlier, I would have searched it in the grocery store. Why didn't she think of it before? What a blinding eye! Luo Yaoyao took out a bright yellow talisman and said, this is the fate test talisman. Just drop the blood of the two people being tested on it. If there is a blood relationship, the talisman will turn red. Blood relationship, the closer it is, the redder it becomes, and vice versa. Shen Yizi was a little embarrassed after hearing this. Why does this feel like red and blue test strips? Is this accurate? Luo Yaoyao was a little angry at her suspicion. Of course it's correct. I spent all my spiritual energy to draw this day and night. I haven't recovered yet. How dare you question me? After all, it is something unknown, and it is normal to have doubts about its effectiveness. Even though he said this, Shen Yizi did not completely dispel his suspicion, but suggested, how about you test me and Qingbao first? If the test results are really what he said, then it won't be too late to test Qingbao and Gu Suiting. Otherwise, something will happen and the test results will be wrong, which will be uncomfortable. Luo Yaoyao also understood her concerns, but, there is only one talisman for measuring destiny. Once you use it, it will be gone. Shen Yizi was a little dumbfounded. Seeing his awkward look, he suddenly realized that with his current cultivation level, he could only draw one picture by spending his spiritual energy. Before the spiritual energy is restored, there is no way to draw a second picture. However, restoring spiritual energy is extremely difficult for others, but it is not a problem at all for her. This is the spirit recovery liquid. You should be able to almost recover after drinking it. Shen Yizi handed over a bottle of medicinal solution. It is said to be a spirit returning liquid, but it is actually a liquid made from diluted spiritual springs and some elixirs. It is a simplified version of the spirit returning elixir. The pill of restoration is a real elixir. In the upper world, it is just the most common first level elixir. Monks take it as a sugar pill. But in this world, let alone the pill of restoration, it is just an older elixir. It's hard to find, let alone refine the elixir. Shen Yizi had no shortage of elixirs, but she didn't know how to make elixirs yet, so she improved the elixir recipe given by Yi Chang and refined the spirit recovery liquid. Luo Yaoyao took the medicine bottle and uncorked it, and immediately a rich and pure spiritual energy escaped. It's been a long time since I felt such rich spiritual energy. He took a deep look at Shen Yizi and said, "Girl, do you know what the bottle of spiritual liquid you took out means?" Shen Yizi said calmly, "If you weren't Xueting's master, do you think I would take it out easily?" These words made Luo Yaoyao feel happy. Ha ha ha, okay, that guy Xueting finally did something that satisfies me. He no longer hesitated and drank the spirit reviving liquid in the medicine bottle in one gulp, and instantly felt a pure spiritual energy spreading in his body. He was busy meditating and refining this spiritual energy. When I opened my eyes again, it was already evening. Luo Yaoyao let out a breath and opened his eyes. Shen Yizi and Qingbao were no longer in the room. He got up and stretched his muscles. It had been a long time since he felt so relaxed. Slowly walked to the front yard, and happened to meet Qingbao in the courtyard, who came to ask him to eat. "Grandpa Shi, the meal is ready. My mother asked me to come and call you to eat." Luo Yaoyao happily took his little fleshy hand and went to the front hall. "Ha! You can eat whichever you want, or both. After all, only children make choices." Seeing Qingbao frowning and unable to decide which one to choose for a long time, Shen Yizi laughed hard beside him. "Baby, you can choose both." After dinner, Shen Yizi and others came to the study again. Luo Yaoyao took out the talisman drawing tool from his tattered pocket and began to draw talisman on the desk. This time, Luo Yaoyao's process of drawing the talisman was incredibly smooth, like flowing clouds and flowing water, all in one go. The talisman paper was as smooth as water and full of aura. Selling is much better than the previous one. Shen Yizi still thought that if Mr. Luo failed, she would spend her points to buy one from Qinkaiu. In short, this matter must not be done overnight. She wanted to figure it out today. Place the two talisman papers together. Although their appearance is different, their functions are the same. Let's get started. Luo Yaoyao took a piece of talisman seal and threw it in the air. His hands were in the shape of holding a ball, that is, the palms of the two hands faced each other, and the fingers were forward, making a psychic mudra. A little bit of spiritual power surged out from the fingertips and sank into the talisman in mid-air. The talisman was immediately frozen and emitted a faint spiritual light. This is the expression of the talisman being activated. Luo Yao Yao nodded to Shen Yizi. She immediately forced a drop of blood from her fingertips and put it into the talisman seal. She also carefully took a drop of Qingbao's blood and put it into it. Under her nervous gaze, the talisman changed from bright yellow to bright red. It seems that it can really be measured. Then comes the critical moment. Luo Yao Yao got Gu Switting's blood long before he set out here and kept it well just for this moment, so he didn't have to worry about it being useless at this moment. It was still the same operation as before. When the blood of Gu Switting and Qingbao was soaked into the talisman one after another, Shen Yizi held her breath subconsciously. In just a short moment, a war went through her heart. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 220. When the talisman's color turned bright red, she let out a long breath. After Su Wan realized what it meant, his whole body fell into confusion. Emotions such as shock, confusion, anger, sourness, etc. are intertwined in my heart. So, Gu Switting is Qingbao's biological father. 3 years, no, 4 years ago, he had an affair with the original owner, so why did he look like he didn't recognize her at all when he saw her? Judging from his subsequent performances, he did not do this intentionally. So what happened in the middle? When she thought about the intimate relationship between the original owner of this body and Gu Switting, she felt that her whole heart was filled with jealousy. Although the body is still the same body, the core inside has long been changed, and the person is no longer the same person. Strictly speaking, it seems that she is the one who penetrated. Shen Yizi was confused by the various thoughts in his mind. He managed to calm down. Mr. Luo, Xueting, what happened between me and him 4 years ago? Do you know? Luo Yao Yao shook his head. Then how do I know? But I do know that he had been looking for a woman before, and then he seemed to have found it. As for the specifics, I don't know. If you want to know, you can only ask him. Well, I will ask him, but can you please keep it a secret for now and not tell him what happened today? Easy to say. Going back to the bedroom, Shen Yizi fell down on the bed. King Bao and Nian Nian looked at each other, wondering why their mother/Aunt Shen looked unhappy. The two of them lay beside the bed and looked at her. Shen Yizi lay down for a while and then suddenly sat up. No, she couldn't keep this matter in her heart, otherwise she would get more and more confused. She must see Gu Switting immediately and ask him for a clear explanation. And you have to ask in person. Shen Yizi seemed to have a fire burning in his heart and couldn't wait any longer. Nian Nian, Aunt Shen will take you to a place, but you have to promise never to tell anyone about its existence in the future, okay? She was going to go to the imperial capital to ask Gu Switting for a thorough explanation. Naturally, she had to bring Qingbao with her. Nian Nian said that this child had only kissed her and was still in the stage of exploring the outside world. If she was left behind and handed over to Kun, she was not at ease even if she took care of him. So it's better to take them together, and it won't be a problem if you put them in the space. She had no intention of letting Nian Nian know about the existence of space before, so she didn't put the Qingbao into the space or the Yuanbao for a while. Try to avoid it when using it on weekdays. It's not that she was guarding against Nian Nian, but that there were so many ways for a person to reveal the truth in this world that it was difficult to guard against it. What if Nian Nian accidentally revealed it one day? Then her biggest secret will be revealed. That would be nothing short of a disaster. However, just now, when he sensed her thoughts, Qiankai told her that the God Emperor Pearl had a self-protection mechanism, and anyone and any beast would be banned the moment they entered, including her, the master of the trial. Normally it is not obvious, but once they have a tendency to leak the space, whether actively or passively, no matter in what form, the ban will activate itself. At least it will just make them unable to speak, at worst it may directly destroy their souls. In short, it is to prevent any possibility of space being leaked. In this way, Shen Yizi felt relieved and directly brought Qingbao and Nian Nian into the space, allowing Qingbao and Nian Nian to get familiar with the environment. She herself was preparing for departure. First of all, release Yuanbao and let him stay at home instead of Qingbao to cover up others' eyes. Because she was not sure whether she could make it back as soon as possible. If it took a long time, at least she would have Yuanbao in charge and the family would not be in chaos. Yuanbao, I'm sorry, but mother has to go out for a trip. You can stay at home on behalf of brother King Bao these 2 days, okay? If Uncle Kinwu and the others ask, just say that mother went into the mountains to collect medicine. By the way, I also took Nian Nian to see her mother. Yuanbao hugged her neck and rubbed her affectionately. Don't worry, mother, Yuanbao will keep the house safe for mother and brother. Yuanbao is so sensible, but Shen Yizi feels even more guilty. She held his face and kissed him several times, not sparing his forehead, eyes, face, and nose. Yuanbao's eyes were so bright from the kiss that they seemed to be filled with stars. Mom will be back soon. Shen Yizi left many eating toys, covered him with a quilt, and finally touched his head. Out of the courtyard quietly, Shen Yizi exchanged a magical talisman from Kinkaiu, put it on his body, and his whole body floated out like a gust of wind. As expected, it cost her 20 points, and it was so fast. She was not used to it at first and was a little dizzy, but she quickly mastered the technique and headed all the way towards the Jinlong River. Jinlongjiang is the mother river of the Tianyuan Empire, with large and small tributaries throughout the entire empire, and there happens to be a direct waterway from Langcheng to the imperial capital. Under the influence of the magic talisman, Shen Yizi arrived at the riverside in less than a quarter of an hour, and then threw something in his hand, which was the small artifact boat that he found Qingbao, Tianzhou. During this period of time, she would feed the boat some rare ores from time to time, and now, it has regained a bit of its charm as an artifact. After being thrown out by her, it was able to catch the wind and grow from the size of a palm to the size of an ordinary awning boat. It landed steadily on the water without moving at all. Shen Yizi jumped up, landed on the board of the ship, tore off the magic talisman from his body and stuck it on the ship. In an instant, the ship rushed out like an arrow from the string, as if there was no resistance from the water at all, and the speed was extremely fast. Science. Although the magic talisman is also a one-time consumable, it is effective for 2 hours at a time. As long as the time has not passed, it can be used by people or ships. Go to the imperial capital. She gave the navigation order to Tianzhou. Shen Yizi looked outside and saw that the scenery on both sides of the strait was receding rapidly and was completely unclear. She retreated into the cabin and began to dress up. Not long after, a handsome young man appeared. Shen Yizi released Qingbao and Nian Nian and gave them a few words. It was the first time for Nian Nian to take a boat ride. It was very novel. She lay on the bow of the boat and looked at the surrounding scenery. Tianzhou really recognized King Bao wholeheartedly. As soon as King Bao came out, it took the initiative to open the protective shield. A layer of transparent barrier covered the entire hull, making it impossible for wind to blow in and water to hit. And it became much more stable while traveling. Shen Yizi sighed in his heart. This is the difference between active service and passive command. At any rate, she fed Tianzhou so much delicious food, but in the end, he refused to accept it after eating it. He was really a white-eyed wolf boat. However, you have to feed what should be fed. Once it is fattened, you can use it vigorously. With the speed of the Tianzhou itself and the bonus of the divine walking talisman, she would be able to reach the imperial capital in less than 2 hours. It was probably not even 10 o'clock at that time, which is when the nightlife is rich. While Shen Yizi was thinking, there was suddenly a clang of swords clashing in front of him, and the muffled sound of a human body falling into the water. Her consciousness swept away and she discovered that there was a fight going on a large ship a few hundred meters away.